My friends, it is always a pleasure to say hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Hermitcraft. I have some exciting news for you, okay? Season 9 of Hermitcraft is coming to an end very soon, and that means that there's going to be a 10th season. And why is this exciting, you may wonder? I mean, usually the end of a season is a bad thing, you know, oh, it was such a great ride, a great adventure, and Season 9 has been all of those things, but it's also been one of our longest running seasons. And after the Marvel that was decked out, I think we probably all feel like this is a great time to conclude the season and move on to new adventures. This one has been filled with fantastic builds, amazing moments, incredible storylines, crossover collaborations, and a whole lot of Minecrafting. And so I'm excited because I really feel like this one has come to its natural conclusion. With Season 8, we tried the short season thing. I don't think that really worked out too well for me. No, you will not kill me. I'm doing the off. This is what happens when you don't have a full set of armor, my friends. So yeah, Season 9 has reached its conclusion, and I've got big plans for Season 10. I'm really excited because I've got a cracking idea that's going to have a retrospective angle. You see, 10, it's kind of like a landmark, right? We've had 10 years of Hermitcraft, well, more than that, but now we're going into our 10th season, and so I want to do something really special. And I thought I would come back to this location just to kind of show you how the season started off. I guess we were down here branch mining a lot, but I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom. I just wanted to kind of walk around the builds one by one and just remind ourselves of what we got up to this season. And before we do that, I have more big news to share with you. That is because the Hermitcraft TCG cards are returning. As you'll see in this beautiful post by Vintage Beef, we are doing a pre-order that runs for a month from December the 15th to January the 15th. And then these cards are going to be delivered in April. I mean, there's way more details in this tweet thread because Beef has replied with lots more information. So if you want to get your hands on TCG cards, we are doing another pre-order. You can find a link to Beef's tweet in the description box down below and a link to the pre-order website. So yeah, the first round of pre-orders have actually, I think, all been delivered now. And so most of you that got those have had your hands on them. I've had my hands on them, as have many of the other hermits, and the quality of them is just incredible. My favorite thing about that project, though, is that it involves so many of the community artists. It really feels like a community project and something that kind of immortalizes Hermitcraft in the physical realm. So I'm going to be getting my hands on some more cards if you want to. Like I said, it's all linked down below. So it's like I said, I wanted to remind us of the projects we've undertaken this season. We started with this amazing build, and I don't really consider myself a builder, but if I knuckle down in creative mode and put in the time and effort, I can come up with something decent, and this is what I did between the last season and this one. So we rolled in, getting our hands on the birchwood, the sandstone, and some netherwoods to make this amazing aesthetic come together, and then we slowly expanded it, and of course I nestled some farms in here. There is the honey combo farm, an iron farm hidden in the tower, and down below there's even a sheep farm. Oh, no surprise to see all of this stuff's backed up, but there's a fair amount of wall in here, as you can see, and that's all come from a single sheep, as this thing has been running the whole season. Now, nestled up in the roof of the first building, we have a villager farm to make bread, some old furnaces over here, and then there's a villager, well, he's just under there. And you know what? We got the detached cam, so let's just make use of that. There you go. He's still here. And for a large part of this season, I was eating retextured bread, which mostly just came from this here, from the villager up top. There are also farms down below. This is quite a challenging bit right here because I designed these farms. You can flick the switch, you can get a bunch of those items, and we're not going to let them just despawn. I've got to pick them up, of course. And yeah, then we went for this organic sort of texturing of the roof and materials around it. And it's been a while since I come back here, but dang, this thing has an aesthetic to it. I think this project turned out much better than I appreciated it at the time. Does that even make sense? Okay, so next we gotta go to a very important early game farm that I used to get to by the Nether, but I think that portal's been disconnected. Or maybe it's just hidden out of sight. Okay, this may just get us to where we're going. This feels very precarious. Again, I don't have my armor on. I've just got my boots and wings. Aha! Here it is, just down here. This is the nether portal. And this is the only way to this project. Again, doing little things like detailing rooms. We were going for organics, weren't we? And I think it turned out really great, this combination of woods and sand. And so yeah, this was my skeleton farm. We had a whole storage thing over here too. And I guess this was perhaps the beginnings of the Bone Mage. Did you forget about that guy? Oh, pro skills, pro skills. So the retextured bread that I mentioned, that was bones because I was eating bone or bone meal for part of the season when I was the Bone Mage. But that actually came a little later on because we did another project with this aesthetic over here. In fact, we did 2 of these big tower things. And again, coming back here and taking a moment to focus on it, I can really appreciate how I pushed myself, and I think I succeeded at creating something rather decent. Of course, when you're surrounded by amazing people like Scar, who just builds on a different level, it can be a little bit overwhelming. I mean, literally surrounded by this incredible trees, well, multiple trees. So yeah, but anyway, what was this project? Again, challenging myself, trying to build a little more on the fly, and then fit farms and things inside, because usually the process is you build a farm and then you build the exterior around it, whereas we try to muddle that up somewhat. So there's some complicated redstone hidden out of sight. And what are these chests for? They're just empty? I can't really remember. I think they might be purely aesthetic, but speaking of that redstone, there's a little bit of it. Here's some more over here. Oh yeah, temporary sugarcane farm down below. And then when we head up, no, not that side, this side over here, we have a furnace array that's actually free to use because it creates dried kelp, so you can craft that up, put it back into here. Something that will be automated in the future of Minecraft, of course. And then we'll use the detach cam to show you, yeah, some marvelous redstone here, just creating stuff to squeeze it into the top of this building. And then this goes across to our kelp farms. It's, of course, much more interesting to engineer this stuff when you impose some restrictions upon yourself. So yeah, we had this weird shape. The kelp would rise up to the top and then it would fly out to the edges, and we'd use minecarts to pick all of that up. So what's next? Something down here. Am I jogging your memory? Oh, this place. Okay. We helped Kralis with this project. Forget how to activate it. I think you got to put something in the tip jar. So have my fungi, Kralis. And then, DJ Panda. I think something broke because the music isn't playing. But yeah, this was around the time that me and Kralis got to introduce the custom music mod that we used this season on Hermitcraft so that we could put our own music onto record discs. Of course, the person who really took most advantage of this was Tango, as sound design was such a huge part of Decked Out, and that mod totally made it all possible. So, not too long after that, we created a farm that unfortunately no longer works due to Minecraft updates, because mobs used to be able to spawn on the scaffolding over here. Kind of looks like it's broken at the top there. Yeah, this is actually totally not normal. I kind of turned off the farm because, well, it's not going to get any use anymore, but something's happened with the water streams. Oh, and I guess it lands on the platform down here. I don't know when this happened. It's a little bit disappointing. I guess it doesn't really matter that this has been broken somewhat. But anyway, it was a really cool early game project that yielded us lots and lots of very useful drops. And I'm sad to see that mechanic go, but hey, moving forward, we just can't have mobs spawning on our scaffold. Oh yeah, we also built this pillager farm. Again, this season I was just trying to avoid taking some basic designs or things that we'd done before and come up with our own designs. So this is for getting a raid captain. So then that would go up through the water here to the top. You could slay that guy. And this was extremely useful for Kralis, who wanted to build a raid farm. So when he needed to get Bad Omen, he could use this and then wander over in this direction to his raid farm. Today, I will be doing a lot of flying in the nether, as all these projects are just so spread out in the Hermitcraft world. And so now we go all the way across the map in search of... Nope, that's not the right tunnel. It's this one here. Which farm is it? It's, of course, the witch farm and the squid farm nearby as well. Again, another project where we engineered our own solution. I wanted to take a similar concept from the past, one that we'd done in multiple seasons of Hermitcraft, actually. And we simply updated it by taking advantage of... Well, actually, I'm not sure what the difference here is, because that's just honey blocks. You could use slime blocks, right? I think what we did is just sort of re-engineer the same concept so that it would be larger and slightly more efficient overall. Yeah, I've built a lot of farms over Hermitcraft's histories, and which farms are ones that I've built the most, I think. Okay, and this was our squid farm, which can occasionally break. The thing that stops it from breaking is actually fishies swimming around, so the reason there isn't more minecarts stuck like this is because they swim into them. Issue is when they get stuck over there. So again, really cool to try and do something different. Not all about maximum efficiency and stuff, but these things do have their downsides. They can break. And how you are still alive, Mr. Squiddy, I don't know. Oh, unless you're just a fresh arrival, I guess. Right, and then... Oh, what are you doing here, buddy? Later on, we created a whole item sorting system to load all of these into shulker boxes, and then the shulker boxes got sent all the way up top. And I guess the shulker box farm is something we're going to see in this video too. So sometime after that, I revealed my big project for the season, my mega base, which was of course the skull and the rib cage. And this was really about just taking an idea and rolling with it. And it turned out to maybe not be the best of ideas. As great as this thing looks, moving through the base was just so awkward and weird. And eventually we did things like flood this area with water, which didn't really make it better. Because look at this, like navigation is really slow and awkward, and we've hooked it up to several different parts of our base, and the layout of it is just really odd and bizarre. So in order to get to the rib cage, which by the way was built to scale, you had to go around like this. Now the original concept for the base was that I would fly around with my elytra, which seemed really good in creative mode when I was testing this before the season. But then when I kind of got in here in survival, it didn't feel the same. Like in order to pick a spot and fly to it, it actually becomes really cramped because you fly through here very fast. And I just didn't get a sense of that. So this project being entirely underground eventually got abandoned. And I say that because if we look over here, you can see it's black because there's black concrete. And I just kind of got fed up of replacing all the stone with that. And I'm kind of glad that I gave up on it. You know, the sunk cost fallacy, I think, was a big lesson here because I put an extraordinary amount of effort into this to kind of learn it wasn't going to work the way that I wanted to. But we did get it to a state where it feels like it's finished, even if there are some blemishes. And then, of course, down here in the incredible caves, courtesy of the Caves and Cliffs updates, we have a bunch of random farms too. So I've kind of been trying to go in the order of the seasons so far. I think one of the next things I undertook was my slime farm. But since we're in the area, I wanted to pop over here as after that we created our very own tree farm. Now this obviously borrows concepts from tree farming that are not my own, but I actually pieced all of this together and I've loved that reconnection with redstone. I've really enjoyed redstoning this season and I want to continue with that into the next one. And this wasn't smooth sailing. We had our issues. We started off by stockpiling all of the logs to be broken manually, and then we worked with a TNT duper that would periodically break. And I think the current design is the one that's finally consistent. Yeah, so if I'm to do this again next season, we want to remember this design. And with the crafter, I am fully anticipating that every tree farm will have an auto crafter hooked up to it to make all of the different items for you. And who can forget later in the season when I thought charcoal blocks were a thing? Been playing too much modded Minecraft. Because, yeah, we automated... is there any charcoal left? Yeah, look at that. What insane amount of charcoal, and it just never got used. So, while we're on the theme of redstoning, this idea hit me at one point in the season that you can actually sustain this type of farming down here for these wood with a bone meal. You don't need any player interactivity to run this. So we created a fresh, unique design, a nether tree farm that just runs without the player. Of course, it needs a stockpile of bone meal and TNT. This was just another really proud creation of mine. And Tango Tech took it to the next level by just simply multiplying this so you have 4 of them. And then your TNT blasts destroy even more netherwood. So it's likely we'll probably see this again updated and innovated for the next one. And you know, at some point in the future, we'll be able to automate the crafting of the blocks again. Because, yeah, all of this can be used to make so many different types of, you know, slabs and stairs and buttons, pressure plates, doors. And that'll be applied to, as I said, every type of tree farm. This one over here, though, wasn't a redstone type of farm. It was more of a minimalist farm. I mean, it's got redstone in it, but it was all about developing a sort of simple and easy to create process for farming the mangrove, which would have me drop down on top of the tree, mine it manually, arrive here at the bottom where I could grow another one, and then head back up to the top again. And as you'll see, it's made out of dirt to sort of emphasize that early game spirit that it has, because it's not automated, but it's designed to make things easier for you. Okay, so I mentioned the slime farm, and I believe this room right here came much later. Again, pushing myself to build and really happy with the results. It's just something I don't do on a regular basis, and I think if I did, I could become a much better builder in this game. But yeah, right, let's grab a minecart and head on down to the slime farm. I absolutely love taking this trip every single time. You can look out in this direction and... wait for it. It's coming. Oh my god, it's taking so long. There it is. Oh god, that lasted half a second. Yep, a view of the tree farms we just saw. And once again, trying to be different. Down here, just creating a waterlogged area so I could swim to my farm, which is not a conventional mode of transport. And the slime farm was originally intended to be even faster than it currently is. The idea is that the slimes spawn down there, they're attracted to an iron golem behind the nether portal, and then they'll go through the nether portal to be harvested automatically on the other side. So the original idea was not to have a glow squid farm directly above it, which looks seriously cool. If we use the detach cam, we should see some axolotls up here. Unfortunately, it's very dark, but we got one. And then we've got allays as well that bring the items over to here. I don't see the... oh, okay, now I see the allays and they're bringing the items. I was worried that it didn't work for a moment there, but it's still doing its thing. And as I was saying, the original plan was to actually dig this out all the way up here. So I was going to come through and tear out all of this terrain. And as you can see, there was a lot of it. But by removing all of that all the way up to the surface, it would have made the rates of the slime farm a lot faster. But we got to a point where we had all the slimes that we need, and it just seemed like a pointless grind. Plus, we built this incredible contraption that we'll come back to later, and this was kind of above the slime farm, so it sort of solidified the idea that I wasn't actually going to do that. And once again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, trying to do things different and having a great time along the way. It's not the smartest or the most efficient farm, but it's really unique, especially with those glow squids above. Oh yeah, and how do the items get to us? Well, they actually get pinged out, you know, across the room into the nether portal. So we had some really cool engineering going on with slime blocks and moving items around. And we'll see where they come out in the nether in just a moment, but I'm swimming back this way to show you one other project here. I'm not sure when we did this, but it was just simply this beautiful room right here, an amethyst geode, waterlogged. With the right pick, we can come in here and we can mine all of these crystals. Yeah, it really is quite beautiful here. So those items, they come out over here into the nether, fully loaded. I'm a little concerned that there isn't slime there. Something could have possibly broken back here. But yes, all the way down here, we have this awesome contraption. So the slimes, they get lured out here. Items are picked up at this level. They're picked up below the campfires and, of course, sent all the way up the top into the shulker box loader. By the way, we're only at like episode 20. I've got the playlist like up on the side here to remind me of all the different things that we've done. And next it's taking us over to the shopping area. Now this is where I worked with a builder by the name of Blaze85. I wanted to take a different approach to some of the projects and work collaboratively, sort of create a vision for another builder to come in and design something that's like above and beyond what I can do. And do you know what? Their building abilities are incredible, but an important thing is to be able to translate a build to survival Minecraft, because when you go deep on the details, it becomes really tricky to build because there's just so many blocks. And so it actually took me a really long time to finish this build here, but we got the main part of it, the main tower, done straight away, and it's just incredible, perfectly fitting into the Bone Mage theme. And so later on in the season, we created the graveyard out the front here. We got all of this on the side fully constructed. And over here, it was that we sold bones. And honestly, this is just one of the best things to sell on a server because everybody needs bone meal. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some... See what I mean? See what I mean? Completely sold out. This was a moneymaker all season. And I might have a little bit of restocking up here. Oh. Oh, yes. Yes, we do. Someone's brought from here as well. Brilliant. Okay, so it was around this point of the season that I was introducing the Bone Mage, building our storage system over there that we'll come back to. Trying to do things linearly. That's a bit of a word, isn't it? But, you know, while we're in the area, we'll talk about another collaborative build with Blaze, which was our Allay shop over here. And once again, the lesson here was that building this kind of detail in survival is insane because you just need so many variety of items. As much as I love the details, there's kind of a push and a pull there. And I feel like in the future, I'm probably not going to go this hard on detail again. This, of course, though, was our Allay shop. And for the most part, a little chamber here to keep the Allays has definitely worked. Of course, though, this service was mostly free, although some people have brought the special Allays. That's nice to see. And they've brought shards because, hey, you can get those easily yourself, but there's some available for you here. Look at this. I'm picking up some diamonds today, it seems. There's probably more in our other shops that we'll come back to later. Now we have to head over to the end dimension. Oh, look. There's just a slime in the end dimension. No, this is, of course, the portal room. Okay, so at this point in the season, we initially built a farm in this area here. You can kind of see the remnants of it based on there being these square platforms of end stone. But eventually, we moved it out along this, which I never got around to clearing up. And yeah, you know this thing, right? It's the copper farm. Yes, our absolutely insane drowned-based copper farm. It might be bad for me to be out of here. I don't want to break this thing. You know, in the future, when you're on the world download, you should be able to use this too. And this was different. This was an Ian XO4 farm, and I think I did a tiny little bit of my own engineering, but pretty much the whole of this was his concept, and we just brought it out here to the void and ran it at a capacity that allowed me to get an insane amount of copper. But as you'll see, I actually came over here and raided all of that copper supply. So if we go into the statistics, yeah, insane. 3 million drowned were killed. And that equated to 40,000 blocks of copper crafted. 11,000 of which became the fully oxidized copper. Not long after that project, we found one of the rarest locations in a Minecraft seed. This is the convergence of 3 different biomes, which happen to be just over the corner from Full Symmetry's amazing base. This is just one of the most amazing, awesome environments to put builds like this. Beautiful project, great combination of stuff going on here. And of course, False was our neighbor, but I was always underground, which was kind of a disappointment. So just beyond the ice farm, somewhere over here, I think I can see it already. A very unremarkable and unspectacular site, which I did want to come back to and kind of make a bigger deal out of it, but I could never really figure out what the build here should be. This is a spot where you can hatch frogs, right? 3 different spots for the 3 different colors, which is why there's all of this madness going on over here. And now noticing that in this point of the season, there was just a lot of collaborative episodes going on. There was so much happening on the server. It was around this point that we started to first get into our shulker box magic, which I'm sure will follow us into future seasons of Hermitcraft. But it's this area over here that we're heading to next, our mini-games area on the server. And I think this season we didn't lean into it as hard as we had done in other seasons. We do have a handful of games here, but it just wasn't the focus. Now, I built 3 of these, a very simple little game of breaking the scaffolding and picking up the blocks as they fall out of the sky. This one here was a much better concept. This was Bucket Rush, and it used powdered snow. You would actually get your powdered snow as you jumped across it here first. You'd have to have your leather boots on. And then it's a simple parkour course that's like a 2-dimensional space where you need to place and remove that block to get through all of its different obstacles. And I do think it turned out really great. However, I tried to over-engineer some parts by using redstone, and the lava bit here was a little too much. I think we could have just stuck to the simpler concept and kind of just ran through a pretty routine course here, and it still would have been really fun. And the third game that I built is one that I just gave up on because it would have taken the Hermits like a lot of time to come on here and learn to play, and then we could kind of hope that it would come across to the audience as well. I can't remember how configured this is, but you need shulker boxes. So when you get your hands on this in the World download, I don't think you're going to figure out exactly what it was and how it works, but it was essentially going to be a game of bluff, and the shulker boxes were used to sort of tell you what types of cards you had, and you could put them on display by activating them one by one. I don't know, maybe at some point in the future we might try and get back to this. Now, of course, there are lots of other amazing games in this area, but I've just been focusing on my own stuff this retrospective episode, as I'm going to call it, and I'm focusing more on the Minecraft buildy stuff because, of course, there are amazing storylines and there were loads of collaborations and whatnot. And it was around the time of building these farms that we were also working on the ice farm over here. I am so happy with this concept and the fact that we finally got to finish it. I'm a little disappointed that it ended up being so chunky and big. This should have worked in a way where we didn't need this sort of safety layer by having it so that it can only push the ice blocks down so far. But you know, Minecraft is a quirky game and it has its hiccups along the way. So the concept here was just to sit in a flying machine and have another flying machine go over top and push the ice down in front of you for you to AFK mine it. Now, there's been other AFK ice farms in Minecraft, but again, the theme of the season, we found a new and different way to do it, and I think this might have been one of the better projects. Now that it's fully finished, you know, it's awesome. And the one other thing you could add to it in the future is an auto crafter for the ice blocks to turn them into blue ice. So do you remember where you were? October 2022? I think that's right. I'm talking about the mob vote of that year. Pretty sure it took place in October. I remember where I was because I was building this thing round the corner here. Vote for the sniffer. Now, there isn't too much to say about this project. Of course, later on I came back here and actually built a sniffer farm inside it, which was pretty cool. Aha, so next we head over to Grian's base, to the basement. You probably already know what we're going to talk about next. It is, of course, Grumbot and the Rift, which is unfortunately deactivated. Now, this was a very polarizing crossover because, of course, we created a community event between our Hermitcraft community and the Empire's SMP. And I'm really proud of what we all did together because it was something that all of us Hermits really wanted to try, and we know that some of the audience wouldn't buy into it. When you do Hermitcraft, that's what people are here for. When you really do something different, you're of course opening up your audience to be divided on the matter. And there were certainly people that didn't like it, but those of you that brought into it really loved the crossover collaboration, and I had an immense time with that. It was so much fun. It was very different and novel from anything we'd done before, and I just had such a great time with the whole crossover thing. It really was a highlight of this season. And the sad thing here is that I have to skip ahead like a whole month in time because, of course, all of that stuff happened on the Empire's world, not on our Hermitcraft. Well, not everything, because, of course, the Empire's peeps then came across to us. So this leads us to the very bottom of the spine for a project that I've realized tied in so well to that redstone theme of doing things yourself. This, of course, was not mine. We had Pixel Riffs come onto the server. There he is right there at the top of the screen. This week on Hermitcraft. Yeah, we built a new and updated version of David, and this thing is just a pleasure to use. I've really enjoyed just coming down here, mining up the oxidized copper and replacing it. Of course, we've actually since found a method that is just a little easier to do than building all of this right here. This machine, though, is a really fast way of getting that oxidized copper. Of course, you have a massive investment to create all of this space and put all of this redstone into it. I had a great time hanging out with Pixel working on this. I also had a great time rewatching some Indiana Jones movies over Christmas too while we were creating this. And that's one of the things about a Minecraft world. It's all tied up with memories. You can remember the good times you had with other peeps, the records that you were listening to, the things that you were doing. Walking around the world is like walking back through time. I am just going back and forth across this server and just reminded of how much incredible stuff there is everywhere. So this TCG arena, of course, this was the point in the season that Beef was starting to launch the TCG game, and we brought a redstone arena to the game and had an absolute ton of help. In fact, Cybot pretty much did most of this, but you know, I put together some rough ideas for how this would work, and Cybot helped engineer all of the redstone. So we have this, which is, it's just a marvel of redstone. And my favorite thing about it is this right here. Using these minecarts to randomize the deck was just absolutely genius. I've done so much flying around this server today. Need to repair up these wings. So the theme of the season lives on. We're about to go into a string of different farms here. The first of which is a project that we actually did twice. And I think this really speaks volumes to how much fun it is to create farms in Minecraft, at least for me, because we engineered not just one, but 2 iterations. And the first one was designed to be a really simple approach. Get up here in the sky, a minimal amount of effort to create a perimeter there, bring all of the guardians up and drop them down here. Now we're using Skulk because we got a Skulk catalyst. So it's not only a guardian farm, but a Skulk farm as well. And we learned so much whilst doing that that we had to go at it again and do another one that was taking it to the next level with all of those components kind of amplified. I mean, just look at that. Look at how much Skulk charge there is. And so here we have a faster elevator, a better perimeter down the bottom, and then, yeah, we can get so much more Skulk out of this thing. And you know what? Next season, we'll probably have to build these farms again, and I don't know how I'm going to iterate on this. I'm probably not going to combine the Guardian farm with Skulk again. We'll probably find a different mob to use next season. I'm looking at my playlist, and you can really feel that we hit that part of the season where we got to the big mega projects, and one of those was this furnace array, which I have learned was really quite flawed, but definitely a delight, and definitely some things here that we can take to future ones. So do I have anything to smelt? Well, I don't, but I can always grab something. There we go. Chuck that into here, and because there's 64 furnaces, this minecart is going to deliver that to all of them. Now the issue here was just this concept of using the bamboo as its fuel source. There were far better ways to do this. The redstone engineering, the one wide aspect, really cool, but in practice it's not quite as good as it looks in a testing environment. And that's because it uses bone meal, and the cactus farm that we built to supplement this wasn't big enough. So I feel like something like this will come back in the future, but will make it even more robust. Okay, we're back in the end dimension, and I'm flying off in a direction, totally winging it, going off of memory. Can I get to where we're going next? The answer is no, not even close. I had to look up the coordinates for this thing over here. It is a shulker farm made by Ending Credits. And bringing it here onto Hermitcraft was an absolute game changer. I don't think I'm ever going to play a season of Hermitcraft without one of these farms again. But it was extremely technical to build. In the episode where we covered this, I probably commented on it. But setting up little things like this, there were just so many little edge cases and scenarios where it's simple to overlook a detail or get something wrong. But Ending Credits was really kind to walk me all the way through it. So for that reason, we were able to actually get this thing up and running. And, you know, the whole time you're building something like this, it feels a little risky, like, oh, what if it doesn't work on Hermitcraft? But then you get there to the end, and the reward, the payoff, is immense. Again, in the future, there'll be an auto-crafting element to farms like this. But yeah, look at that. Shulker boxes loaded full of shulker shells. It was a really elevating project that kind of took us into the end game where we had so many of the farms and we could really just focus on building outrageous projects. And this leads us to the roof of the Nether, where I've realized there was another project I've forgotten about earlier. It just didn't click when we were checking out the location of the 3 different frogs that you can breed. We, of course, built this as well. Most of the engineering here revolved around this loader on the side here, getting adapted to work in the Nether. And then the concept itself kind of borrows some stuff other YouTubers have shown. But after we built the shulker farm, we came over here and engineered another type of zombie piglin farm. Again, that tradition of trying to do things different. This was so cool. We had platforms and turtle eggs to lure off the zombie pigmen and then bring them all the way up to the top here. Wait, I mean zombified piglins, right? These guys got an overhaul. And many times did we come back here and iterate on this whole project, adding piglin bartering, a storage system, and even using ChatGPT to do some coding to help us make an auto crafter so that we could take the gold ingots out of here. I have no idea why all of these trapdoors are open. So yeah, this was a location of a lot of engineering. So much time went into the various different aspects of this to get it all to work. But in the end, it does actually work a treat. Okay, so from here, we now get to go to a couple more projects that I really adored. One of them is down here, and I kind of wish we had extended this tunnel a little further and connected a few more tunnels to it. But the first one we're going to pop through is just here. And this is a cow farm. Yeah, I remember just finding some peculiar ways to approach this differently, and I can't really remember if this end result here ended up utilizing that a lot or not, but we certainly got a lot of leather and meat from this farm. And not long after that, we went overdrive with egg farming and the mechanics of chickens laying eggs and all the different approaches you could take. We actually built a whole farm down the bottom here and ended up tearing it out in favor of this bizarre oddity. And again, this just comes from experimenting and taking different approaches. I mean, we've got an insane amount of chickens up here that lay all of the eggs. They get sorted out either into shulker boxes or then hatched into these cobwebs. So they fall down very slowly, and just as they arrive at the bottom, they turn into adults. And the one issue we couldn't quite figure out here was how to include a fox that had a looting sword. It sort of worked on a test world, but bringing it here to Hermitcraft, it didn't quite work out. That really would have been the icing on the cake for this farm. So with all of that auto-crafted gold from our gold farm and the many other farms that we had on the server, we had so many things to sell. It was around this time that we started to collaborate with Impulse and build this epic tunnel. This is so cool to walk through. Press F1. How immersive is that? And of course, this takes us to... I love to see this. It's always floor number 4 when I visit Impulse's iBuy store. And what is on floor number 4? It is my shop that has been incredibly successful. And what I loved, again, engineering up some redstone to just have a shop that works differently. Except someone here doesn't know how the shop works. Yeah, I guess that's one of the issues with doing it this way. Whoo! We are making the diamonds. Yeah, the concept was to interact with the shops differently, so you would sort of select what you want to go and open, because you can't do this. Let's go ahead and change it to the next one. See, I might have some profits here. Yep, lots and lots of profits. I always leave 1 diamond in the middle, though. And the cool thing about this place is the secret entrance, to the back area, and the fact that these shops also have a maintenance mode. I can hit the switch, I can pop down here, and then just go through the chests one by one. Now, I'm not in the mood for restocking, considering that the season is coming to an end. But I am going to come through here and take all of my profits. And you'll be happy to know that we've made a heck of a lot of them today. So we are now getting to what feels like the very recent history of Hermitcraft, with me returning after a break to build this farm. Does that use scaffolding again? I think that one didn't, because of course that broke. And yeah, we undertook this experiment to spread the skulk as far as we possibly could. But unfortunately, that turned out to be a little limited, and we had a whole bunch of interesting ideas on how we could push the skulk out further, but ultimately, it seemed like the skulk charge's decay rate over time was going to limit us as to how far we could make this stuff actually spread. And before I took that hiatus, there was a project I finished that I'm actually slightly disappointed about. Yeah, the Evil X boss battle, I just feel like this got forgotten about a little quickly, and if other hermits had come over to play this, they would have enjoyed it, because those that did had a great time. Oh, and in the redstone hidden around the back here, there's also a couple of counters for how many games were played. Yeah, this is it right here. So, 1 player victory has occurred, and Evil X won the other 4 times. I think it was Cubfan that managed to beat Evil X. Anyway, as I said, I'm kind of disappointed that more Hermits didn't come over here to play this, but with the World download, you'll be able to get your hands on TCG cards and come over here and try it for yourself. So please do remember to come over here and take on Evil X. And if you want to let me know how it goes or how it went, you can leave a comment on a video or you can get at me on Twitter. So yeah, one of the other things we did before the season really wound down was the colour tunnel right here. And again, another building project where I pushed myself. And I think I'm going to keep that going on into the future of Hermitcraft. So what else is there left to say? Because at this point, you know, the season all became about decked out. And of course, that's in our recent memory. It has only just concluded and we are now free to play fun runs on the server. The only problem is it is the holiday season and, you know, you get busy around this time of year making plans and all sorts of other things going on. I'm really hoping we can get a fun run of decked out in. And this is not the last episode from me because we have all sorts of events planned over the next few days. There's going to be a lot happening. Like after this video goes out, I'll be live on Twitch. If you've made it to the end of this video, I don't know, like the stream might be over. This has been a long video, but we are of course playing the Grand Prix race and I'm going to record some of that and put it into my next episode of Hermitcraft because there is going to be another one. Like I said, loads of things going on. But today was the announcement that Season 9 is over, and looking back at it all through this retrospective has kind of taught me that we do what we always do on Hermitcraft. We try to get better over and over again at this game and make more wonderful things, and we've done that as usual in Season 9. And I think we're going to do it in Season 10 again, because I got some great ideas that are going to push myself to another level and have an amazing time with our fellow Hermits. So I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. That's it from me this episode. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon in another. Bye-bye.